Hello, and welcome back to the channel. And today we'll be doing the QB tier lists. Now, I know I did these last year, and I think they did all right. But it was just guys that I think overall I can just kind of give a quick little blurb on each one of them, put them in little tiers. Obviously, tier lists are a bit more in style last year, but I tried to make them a bit funnier last year. I think this year I'm just gonna go straight up, just all pro, above average, start in the right spot, career backup or reserve. Um, it's pretty straightforward. So we can start with Sam Hartman. This is the guy I was gonna do a funny one for, be like future Vogue model. But yeah, everyone was just freaking out about how hot this guy was all weekend. So it was a little AO, including Michael Irvin was like just going nuts on him for one point, which is interesting. But obviously had a really good career over at Wake Forest, and then had the medical thing where he had his rib taken out and then he put it around his neck, which is interesting. And then he transferred over to Notre Dame. He had a year there. It didn't go as well as Notre Dame I think thought it was going to, but he played all right. So, I mean, he's really a reserve. I mean, he's not much of an NFL future here, but it is what it is. Why is it not going? Oh, there we go. I'll put all three of them in there. Well, you know what? Funny thing is, they're all going to be there. So, we can just go with the middle guy, Michael Pratt, out of Tulane. He had an all right combine. I do think that he should have come back to school. I believe Michigan was kind of interested in maybe potentially having him be the starting quarterback, but he ended up going to the league instead. So best of luck to him. Relatively, he's mobile enough to be serviceable. Bit of work as a passer is needed to be started at NFL level, but I think he's maybe a backup is like his peak here. I don't really see much coming out of it, but again, guys like Aiden O'Connell started last year and they're not very good. So, you never know. Danny DeVito won player of the week the same week as Zach Wilson. So again, you just get in the league and things happen. That's why I'm always a fan of getting kids to the league as fast as possible. Unless I go to Michigan, of course, I want Michael Pratt to come back a year. But overall, he's really got some things to work on. But maybe some good coaching NFL he can get it done. But he did really good things with Tulane the last few seasons. Obviously, beating Caleb Williams in the Cotton Bowl on January 1st, 2023. So good looks for him there. Up next is another transfer from NC State to Kentucky, Devin Leary, also going to be a reserve here as I spoiled on accident. But yeah, Leary, again, didn't have the greatest of combines. Him and Hartman really had trouble throwing the ball. But, there's not much more I can really add to it. Other than, he was all right in college, and I'll be surprised if he's anything other than really a practice squad, third string type guy, maybe a backup in the right spot. But yeah, that's kind of what I got there. Next here we have our good friend Jordan Travis from Florida State University. He had a very tragic end of the season, similar to almost Hendon Hooker type. And I really do see a lot of similarities in their games. He's mobile enough, did a lot, kind of took a historically great program that was, kind of on the outs and put him back in a pretty good relevance. I mean, he really, if he didn't get hurt, would have led him to the playoffs. I mean, you could kind of argue that with the same thing with Joe Milton a little bit, not Joe Milton, Jesus, with Hendon Hooker, but they're both a bit older. Transfers, obviously. I think he was Louisville, right? I think Jordan Travis was from Louisville. So yeah, he transferred over. But yeah, Travis really did his thing last season. Had Heisman type numbers for a while, and then obviously got hurt in the North Alabama game. Took himself out of that race. I don't really think he was totally in it, but he was a name that probably would have maybe been invited. So he found himself not there, which is sad. So other than that, I would say, as for his pro career, I think he could be a backup. He seems to be a pretty smart kid. Good head on your shoulders. Again, you can kind of compare a similar situation to Hendon Hooker. Wasn't really starting at one spot. I guess Hooker did actually play at Virginia Tech, but transferred to a better school, took him out of the depths, and really played well. I mean, Travis was a hell of a quarterback last year. People were paying attention to Florida State mainly because of him. And then obviously when he went out, clearly he was a good player. If when he went out, they didn't make the playoff because he got hurt. So good for him. And yeah, I think that he's going to potentially be a pretty good backup. Up next is Joe Milton. I think he's also going to be a backup type guy. He's one of the guys literally because he's got that cannon arm and that big frame that every offensive guy is going to think they're the smartest guy in the room and be like, oh, I'm the guy that can fix him. It's like the super hot, crazy girl. And everyone's like, oh, I can fix her. I can fix her. Probably not. But hey, if it happens, you hit it out of the park. So, obviously if Joe Milton ever, lived up to his potential, he'd be in the all pro category. He obviously had a great combine with it, throwing the ball really well. I said sneakily, I think he could do a similar thing in Carolina to what Jacoby Brissett did for Tua at times in Miami, where he'd come in for QB sneaks and Hail Marys. Is it that much of a living? No, but they had Andy Dalton come in at times last year for Bryce Young for QB sneaks. And I even think a Hail Mary too. But obviously he can throw the ball a million miles. You have him as like the 53rd man on the roster, and you've got the ball on your own 40-yard line. He could probably throw it to the end zone. Well, not probably, he definitely could. And if that hits once, that's worth the 5th round, 6th round selection right away, right? And I think Gilmore could be a situational backup type guy. I mean, could you put him behind, a guy? This is going to sound like a crazy reach here, but a guy like Josh Allen in Buffalo and be like, kind of learn from him. He had accuracy issues with the cannon arm, obviously not to the extent of Joe Milton, but he learned how to play with it. And if Joe Milton has a similar frame to Josh Allen, could he get there? Probably not. But would it be worth a 6th round selection for the Bills? Maybe. And I think that's one of these guys that he's got the physical tools the guys below him don't, and that's why he's in this spot. Are the guys below him a better quarterback? Yes. Is he a better athlete? Absolutely not. Is he the best athlete on this list? Yes, without a doubt. Is he the best athlete, period, in the combine? He's in a discussion, which is why it's crazy. So, that's always the guy. Even like you look at Michigan football right now. Sorry to make everything about Michigan football, but obviously that's my team. People like what's his name? People like Alex Orji purely off the fact that he's an athlete. So if you can't teach athleticism, you can teach how to throw football. Usually, that really wasn't a thing until Josh Allen kind of figured out how to throw the football accurately. So that was always the thing. Like you can't teach accuracy. Well, now one of the best quarterbacks in the league has been taught accuracy. So why not go with him? Up next, we have the top 7 quarterbacks here. Spencer Rattler, starter in the right spot. Now, he's always the sexy name that's going to be happening. He's going to be like, I believe in Spencer Rattler, blah, blah, blah. And I think closer towards the draft, it'll be like the guy that you'll be like, oh, that guy, blah, blah, blah. Reminds me a bit of DTR last year. Not as to the extent of him. I think obviously Rattler's a bit more talented, but Dorian Thompson-Robinson out of UCLA was a hell of a football player to watch. Super fun, did a lot of stuff fun. Rattler obviously started Oklahoma, was getting freshman Heisman stuff. And I don't even know, did he start as a freshman? I forgot. I think he came in the middle of a game because it was like the same thing happened to him that happened. I think he maybe came in for Hurts one time. I don't know. But obviously the same thing happened to him that I'm saying there happened to him with Caleb Williams coming in and knocking him out. So then he went over to South Carolina, had a year last year. Wasn't terrible, honestly. I know their record was bad, but he played pretty well. He's still probably be like a 3rd round pick, maybe 4th round. But it's a pretty clear, top 6, him, everyone else. So he's in the middle. So really it depends on where the people are going to be taking him. But again, you look at a guy like Aiden O'Connell, he started last year, right? Is Spencer Rattler, is like goes to Atlanta in the 3rd round and Kirk Cousins gets hurt, he can start for him. If any of the starters get hurt and you draft Rattler like the 3rd round, could be a viable option. I mean, kind of like a Russell Wilson type scenario. Like it's very rare for these quarterbacks outside of like the top round, 2nd round, maybe, to get much play and start. But, he's got enough raw talent where he can do it. Is he the same athlete level as Joe Milton? Clearly not. He can throw it. So, but overall, I think that he's going to be a pretty good guy in the league if given the right spot, right? Because if he can sling it for sure. He's mobile enough to survive in the league, but there's still obviously some flaws. He likes to force throw sometimes, a little bit too much hero ball. But again, he's got talent. If you can bring it out of him, it could end up working. Do I think it will? Probably not. But does he have the potential to do it? Absolutely. That's why he's there. So up next, Michael Penix. I'm going to do the same thing here. He's in the same spot. I think purely, I don't know if this is like some sort of ism or ist, um, handist maybe. I'm left-handed as well, so I can say it. It just seems so bad. I think Penix should go to Miami purely because he's left-handed. If the Dolphins take him like the second round as like an insurance policy to Tua, you don't have to relearn the offense from left hand or right hand. I think it could work. Could Penix do the thing that Tua is doing? I think right now, yeah, I think so. It's really interesting when you look at Penix because you got to really think about him and Bo Nix, who I'll probably do next. I'll skip over JJ. Is it they're really good at football, or is it they're really old in college? That is what we're going to find out pretty quickly, I think. People are giving Bo Nix a lot more of a pass than Penix. I don't really know the exact reason for that. Maybe it is handedliness, and I guess Penix's injury history. But a lot of guys have had injuries before. But Penix has had like 3 or 4 season-ending injuries, which is crazy, and he got totally smoked the Michigan game. But you look at the duality of his college football playoff. He was unbelievable against Texas. I mean, dude looked like you were playing Madden on rookie mode. Everything was just nukes down the field, and it was getting them all no problem. And then against Michigan, you bumped it up to all Madden, and it was like, whoa, what the hell is going on here? He was upside down, backwards, throwing 2 picks. It was ugly, right? And you could view it as that was his first NFL defense. And I kind of view it as that. Again, biased as a Michigan fan. I mean, I have this shirt because he played so poorly because of our defense. But you look at it, and it's like, okay, I think he could definitely do it in the right spot. Again, you go to Miami. Could he, if Tua gets hurt again, God forbid, could he step in for him? Absolutely. If they want to move on from Tua and pay everyone else and keep that really good defense intact and just, have him throw deep balls to Tyreek Hill as opposed to Rome Odunze, sure. I mean, I think that works, no problem. Am I calling Tua assistant quarterback right now? I think I might be on accident, but that's not really the intention. But a lot of these kids, again, they have the talent, they have the work ethic. Obviously, he's faced adversity in his life, going from IU season-ending injury to a Heisman finalist. Same thing with Bo Nix at Auburn. So, credit to him. I think that we're going to see if he's going to be the cool one to see because, again, the quarterbacks are really good up top. But like, would a New England or would a football team, probably not them, but like a Raiders take him in the second round? Maybe. I think so. I personally think I would take him end of first round. Like, it's the guy you trade up in the first round for. Like maybe if the Vikings don't want to go all the way up for JJ, they take him. But unfortunately, being left-handed does cause some issues with the whole offensive line thing, blind tackle or blindside tackle, blah, 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 blah. So that's why everyone thought that we were going to get Tua potentially or the Dolphins were going to take Sewell because Tua's left-handed. Obviously, the guy behind him clearly would be the blindside tackle is the right side instead of left. So I don't know the offensive tackle situation for the Dolphins or whoever it is, but the better right tackle, maybe you could work with left-handed quarterback. I know it's different with the ball coming in. I don't really know because I didn't really catch balls from left-handed, right-handed guys like that. But it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. Up next is Bo Nix. I kind of want to put him in above average after just saying the same thing, but I'm going to have to put him here and start in the right spot because I think he's going to do the same thing. Could he do what I think Brock Purdy's doing? Yes. I think when he went to Oregon, he wanted to show that he could do a lot more than he could, and he ran the ball a ton. The last 2 seasons especially. I think last year he ran it more, but he runs the ball a lot now. He's not a runner, but I think it's a thing that's like, hey, look, I can run. Granted, he is old. Do I think he can get any better than he is right now? Maybe. I mean, he's about my age. He's 24. So, I think we've kind of seen the max out of him. I would say the same about another guy coming up too. But yeah, definitely interesting spot here for him potentially. I think he will be the guy that gets traded later in the first round. People have him going as high as the Broncos at pick 12. I doubt it. I think that's how you get a GM fired. And everyone's saying JJ is the guy that gets GM fired. Brother, that'd be tough. That being said, could you put him on a team? Like, again, the Aiden O'Connell example, I feel bad for Aiden O'Connell, but he's like the thing that shows everything can happen. Bo Nix could do what Danny DeVito did. Bo Nix could do what the Jets had Zach Wilson do. So I think he has a place in the league. Will it be on a lot of these teams? Probably not. Again, you put him with the Vikings. The Vikings trade up for him, go pick 28. Kind of what they wanted to do with Will Levis last year. I think it would work perfectly with Bo Nix. Obviously, I'd rather a JJ as a Michigan fan, but as a Lions fan, I think I'd prefer Bo Nix. But again, in the right spot, he'll be fine. He's got a bit of issues with throwing the ball super deep, and he was really okay at Auburn, above average beginning, but they kind of figured him out quickly, and then he got really good again in the Pac-12. Is it because the Pac-12 stinks? Potentially. But I do think that he is clearly the fifth best quarterback, just right above Penix. Again, after saying that, but just the injury issue is a little bit interesting. But again, these teams do so much medicals. I mean, like they screened for cancer in Karis LeVert and found it. Like they will find anything they can with these medicals, and if Penix passes them, he should be fine. It's the hand in this too. Come on. Up next, JJ McCarthy, QB 3.5 for right now with Drake Maye. All right, JJ will be above average. He's a very interesting guy. We've talked about him a ton on the channel. In case this is the first time you're seeing it, obviously I'm a Michigan fan, so I can give you a little bit of my spiel on him. I think he was totally underused at Michigan, but he was one of the most clutch quarterbacks out there. He's got that dog in him. He's very mobile when needed. Didn't have to do it a lot at Michigan, but he was very clutch when he had to. Super efficient, super sharp. Got to learn the offense very well. Could he start in the NFL tomorrow? Yes. What are the results you're looking for? I think if you wait a year, I said the perfect scenario for if you're JJ McCarthy is the Commanders, or is you sit behind Kirk Cousins, whether it be in Atlanta or in Minnesota, and you wait for a year. But it looks like Minnesota's all but done with Kirk Cousins, and they're probably going to trade up for JJ. Everyone's saying them are the Giants. They're probably going to make him start right away. That's going to stink. I think he might need a little bit of time. But then again, he's a sharp kid. He's a gamer, tough, great kid. I mean, everything you can want in a prospect this guy has, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm very biased, but a lot of people are saying the same thing. He didn't. They say he can't throw the deep ball. That was like even like he's one of his most famous highlights against Ohio State. That was being said by Gus Johnson as like a fu to the fans, almost not the fans, the haters. And then in the combine, he did overthrow two guys, which is better than underthrowing. If you underthrew him, it'd be like, whoa, he has no arm. But he overthrew him. And I think he's going to continue to slide up boards. Again, he's super young. He's 21 years old. He is 3 years younger than Penix, and I think he's 3.5 years younger than Bo Nix. That's crazy, dude. So we will see what happens with JJ. I think he has potential to be QB2 by the end of this all, depending on what you're looking for. Again, it's all what you're looking for. Like if the Commanders take him at 2, have Sam Howell for another year, I think that would work great. Again, I don't want JJ starting as a JJ going to be a soon JJ apologist and JJ Stan in the league. I would love it if he didn't start next year, unless he absolutely had to, or he's that good and just can't. Above average next, we have Drake Maye. Probably everyone's QB3 or 2 right now. It's between him and Jaden Daniels. I think there's such polar opposites, those two, that it's hard to even compare them. Drake Maye, more your traditional pocket passer. This guy has Denver Broncos written all over him. Tall, pocket passer, sneaky mobile if needed, really good arm, really good fundamentals, really good at everything. He checks pretty much every box in terms of passing. He will get like Sam Howell and Mitch Trubisky comparisons purely because he's a taller UNC quarterback. I know Sam Howell isn't, but I think he's a pretty polished guy right now. I think he could start no problem. Do I think he could come in and light the league up? Probably not. It's very hard for rookies to do so. Will he be above average? I think so. You put him on the Patriots, they could go like 6-11. That's not horrible. But I think he probably should go to New England, a more of a passing, run the ball type team than these other guys where it's like, they want to drop back and throw it a billion times. I think he would be good getting eased into the game. But he's one of the only non-transfers on this list. I'm looking at this list. We got transfer, non-transfer, and then transfer. So we have 3 non-transfers. The rest of the guys are all transfers, including both of the next 2 coming up. But that's what I have in terms of him for now. I guess Drake Maye. What's there not said about Drake Maye already? He kind of was doing his thing in almost in quiet out there in UNC. Showed up for like the game against actually Bo Nix in the Liberty Bowl he played. That was kind of like his coming out party. But he's a pretty good prospect. He's one of those guys that's almost so good they're going to start getting talked down upon. Like I know I did put out there that he's JJ is a better pro prospect than him. That's just purely because I think JJ has more upside. I think Drake is already better and has a higher floor, lower ceiling than JJ. I think JJ is one of the more volatile guys in the draft. He's either gonna be like all pro or like not out of the league, but like backup type guy. But I think it's probably the prior. Up next, Jaden Daniels, last guy in above average. Like, I want to save all pro. Last year I only had like 2 guys in all pro in each spot. But Jaden Daniels, very interesting because, again, like I was a huge fan of this kid when he was on Arizona State because obviously I was watching for Herm Edwards. I think everyone else was, and they were playing Sparty. They beat him, which is nice. I always love when that happens. But he's a good kid, mobile. Obviously won the Heisman last year with like 1,000 rush yards. The game against I think it was Florida where he had like 700 yards accounted for. It was crazy. I couldn't watch most of it because I was knocked out after the Penn State game. But Michigan Penn State and that whole shenanigan of a long week as a Michigan fan, it was a brutal week. Very physically taxing, emotionally taxing. But you look at Daniels, and he's kind of maybe potentially the same thing as the Penix and Bonix crowd, where it was like, he actually came to the SEC, so obviously tougher competition, but he's a bit older. He's not has some injury concerns, but he's always putting himself in harm's danger. I don't think he'll have to run it as much in the league. Can he run it? For sure. I almost said he's like a taller Kyler Murray. People might think I'm crazy for that, but I think it's like his ability to scramble and make plays in the run. I don't think it's like an insult. I don't think saying a guy is Kyler Murray is down playing it. Obviously, everyone will, because in this today's TikTok media society, it's like, oh, they got to do something good. Somebody said that he's like a more polished Tyrod Taylor, and I'm like, that's a good compliment. And then the guy's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Tyrod Taylor was a starter in the league for a long time. Like, he's still even playing now. I mean, he played for the Giants this year. They must beat the Bills in Bills, right? So I don't know. There's a whole different thing in terms of the whole. You got to be a superstar. Everyone up here will have like JG be like, oh, combination of Josh Allen and Mahomes. Drake May is like Peyton Manning. You got Jaden Daniels as Mike Vick. Like all this dumb shit. Like it's just everyone needs to lock in. But yeah, Jaden Daniels, the only thing I would say in terms of downside for him would be I don't know how much more he can grow. I think he's kind of already shown what he is. Obviously, he was in the defense. He had 2 elite receivers. You have one going probably in the top 5, one going to go probably in the top 15. So was he carried by those guys? I doubt it. He was still making lots of plays over at Arizona State. I mean, he did like Chip Trayanum was on that team, and a few other guys, but still, I think he's going to be pretty solid. He's the one that's going to be interesting though, again, because it's like he's more of a win now guy. You put him in, I think he's a better fit like in Atlanta, team with a good roster around him. Commanders probably are still rebuilding, so it was like the Giants, or not the Giants. Giants actually be a great spot in Giants because he's kind of like Daniel Jones. Am I allowed to say that? Because I know people get mad about it, but it's kind of like Daniel Jones. I mean, I think people have no problem with Daniel Jones. I think it's the problem is they paid him so much money. So I don't know. And then finally, it's Caleb Williams, all pro. Look, this guy, it's kind of the thing we've all been expecting, where it's like he was so high that everyone had to hate on him because you couldn't agree with him more. And now he's so low, I'm starting to buy stock back up in Caleb Williams. I think like people are like, oh, is he even QB1? Ugh, should they trade back from him? Dude, this guy is unbelievable. Okay. Name 2 guys that were skill position guys on USC last year. I know I can because I'm doing all this draft stuff, but like what? You had Brennan Rice, Taj Washington, Austin Jones. Who's the other running back? The good one. Marshawn Lloyd from other USC. And it's like, look, dude, yes, he had Jordan Addison last year. He was done great in the league. You could, say that, but he was unbelievable at Oklahoma. He was unbelievable here. He won the Heisman last year, obviously, or 2 years ago. I mean, other guys got hurt, but he still did his thing. I think he's gonna be great in the league, potentially. It all depends on his mindset. He's a bit of a whack job. I don't know if that's him just trying to, get out of going out of Chicago. But look, without getting as political as possible, your quarterback being the cover of a magazine and like a dress type thing, and then painting his nails is a tough sell for a lot of football guys. I'm sure it's not one way to win the locker room around. Hey, maybe do a bunch of stuff and then do that, and you get away with it much more easy. I'm sure you wouldn't regardless, but it's just a tough sell as a guy there. And you're talking about you want percent in the stake of the franchise, brother. You're in a rare spot as a quarterback where the number 1 pick is going to a team that doesn't suck. Okay, this kind of reminds me of I was just about to say Jason Tatum, but those two actually give me a lot of vibes the same. But like I'm trying to think the last time like the number one pick was like not by like a bad team, right? Where it's like he's going to a good spot. Like the Bears are not a bad football team right now. I know the joke is that they are, but imagine he was going to like the Panthers or like even the football team. It's like, I mean, they have good supporting cast, but you know what I mean, right? Where it's this was what an 8-win team last year. The Bears 7-win team, 8-win team. He comes in, at pick 7 or 8. I would definitely get an offensive lineman, but they're going to go receiver probably, or even Brock Bowers, and give him a great weapon, right? And when you do that, I think it's going to be very, very interesting. Like this team could get good quick. You have a potential generational type guy. I hate saying that word out here. I mean, but listen, the way the GMs talk about this guy, they all can't be wrong, right? I mean, they can, but he plays in a similar mannerisms to Mahomes or Kyler Murray. I know people have kind of compared him to the two. He reminds me of Kyler a bit, where he just does all these crazy scramble drills like all the time. And he can run when he needs to. He checks pretty much every box. You just watch his tape, and it's like, whoa, this ball was moving. But he has some games where he's just off. And obviously there is like that with a lot of guys, but he's probably got definitely the highest ceiling in the draft. And I think the Bears would be very dumb to not take him, but they are the Bears, so it would check out. But yeah, it's going to be tough to mess that pick up. It's one of those guys where you almost going to get bullied into taking him, where it's like, if you don't take him, I'm going to be like, wow, you didn't take him? I'm trying to think of the last guy like that. Kind of like, I don't know, DeAndre Ayton low-key. I feel like they didn't really want to take him, but like they're like, oh, this guy's so good, you have to take him. But it's a quarterback at number 1, I can't complain much. I know. I saw some funny joke that they should take Caleb at 1 and JJ at 9 and just be like, hey, we're going to get one of these two is going to hit based on stats. I don't hate it low key, but yeah, that's pretty much overall the tier list. A bit of a rambling as I tend to do on these videos. Sorry, but just want to give my quick thoughts on these guys. I'll probably do an aggregated big board sometime closer towards the draft, and obviously you can see where I'm going to have these guys going on different picks in different mock drafts going forward. But yeah, that's just the first video of these. I might do a more breakdown video of some certain guys that I think are like my guys. Like I know I did it last year. I talked about like my official guys of the draft. But yeah, that's all I have for now. Please like and subscribe. Let me down below what you think. Who's your quarterback rankings? If you kind of agree with mine, I would say it's probably Caleb 1. God, I want to say JJ 2, but I'd say Jaden Daniels for a win now, 2A. Drake Maye, more project 2B, JJ 3. And then it would be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. The last two don't matter. So yeah, that's all I have for now. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.